life is really messy, and after recording this episode, I sit here and look back on the past 48 hours of recording the content. It's messy. There's rewinds. There's tangents. There's multiple episodes in one episode. There's living life backwards. There's healing, and there's just an expansion of creativity. There's an expression from my own lens of how I took the current energy that is in the current astrological transit and used it finally to my advantage and being aware of that. And there's just growth and vulnerability and a detachment of insane perfectionism that I've always placed upon everything I do in my life, especially creative projects. So I'm just leaving it all out on the table and putting it out there into the universe and its vibration, because it's very healing for myself, as well as I hope for anyone in the collective or the collective to go on your own path and detach from the crowd and be a leader your own way and do your own thing. And that's really what I want to bring to the table in this life, especially from an artistic, creative standpoint. So I just wanted to get on here and welcome you to the first bonus episode that the platform I create and distribute my podcast on offers. I think it's a great space to have the episodes about astrology, philosophy, pseudosciences, all the stuff that really gave me a zest to learn again in life and to gain better perspective and build my self-awareness. It's disorganized. It doesn't start with Astrology 101. It came out of left field on Sunday, October 9th, 2022. I'm just saying that date because just in case someone listens 10 years from now, who knows. But it is Tuesday morning now. The full moon is in Aries, but it's transiting into the sign of Taurus. However, the energy lasts as long as you want it to. You can channel it, you can alchemize it to build that awareness, to be aware of it when it's happening. Because at the end of the day, the current transits are all just like a weather map, and you can use that energy the way you see fit. And I'm just really excited because this is the first time where I use it to my advantage, because I'm expanding my creativity and bringing back the stuff that I was creative about when I was younger and didn't understand why I was so invested into organization and, random stuff. And it's all building as I do this podcast series. So I feel like it was an out of nowhere episode, so it fits amazingly in that bonus episode category. It's rather lengthy. I flow from the heart. It's unscripted. So I'm just leaving it out there. If you're confused, I'm sorry. It's all about me being okay with not being okay, in the sense of it's not perfect. So what? It's not recorded on a amazing platform. It's not a video yet. It's baby steps into the way my soul wants to go. And I just wanted to get on here in real time after I listened to the episode to just state that. And this is definitely a good place to start for those of you that are interested, that have mentioned to me, or people in my life that actually listen to this that say, hey, I love astrology, I just don't quite understand it. I taught myself, even though I'm not a licensed astrologer, the stuff that I know thus far, in a sense, and discern through what works for me and what doesn't. But this whole episode is about wounding in your own human life and what you carry since birth in that regard. The full moon in Aries, Jupiter is also in Aries, so it brings a abundant energy as well. There's just a lot of happening right now in Aries in the fire sign, and my sun is a fire sign, sun sign, and there's just a lot of alchemy here, and I'm just really excited to finally kind of take a stab at breaking away from that perfectionism as a new standpoint. And every day is a new challenge. However, you gain deeper wisdom as you come back to those things that you thought you healed, such as our wounds. And the archetype Chiron, or the comet, minor planet Chiron, Greek mythology, is the pivotal point of this whole episode. And it's just amazing how I've came across Chiron the past 2 years. I've been invested in astrology and logically understood, but then kind of just like tucked it away. And after doing an episode out of nowhere that I thought would be put together in 2 hours, but I had to feel the full moon's energy because I get a lot of creativity spark from the moon. The moon is kind of like the leader in my own life, and it's shown in my birth chart, and I'm experiencing that in real time. Because logically you can understand things and you might not resonate with everything you read in your birth chart if you actually get it a deep birth chart, but the experience is what ends up being true to you. So bear with me. It's actually really healing for me. So I'm just gonna leave it. As much as I don't want to, sometimes I'm like double thinking, but no, like it's fine. And it's okay, Brandon. It's okay. But for those of you that have some of the same issues that I'm currently struggling with, and you don't know why you're feeling those things, because I still don't know why sometimes, every time you come back to it, you'll gain a better understanding. And I'm just showing you that these woo-woo topics or trendy topics, or there's one out there for you to get you started, and then you could it's like a habit, and then it becomes empowering for your own self to really build your self-awareness and putting yourself first, and then helping the rest by setting your boundaries and including yourself as well as the whole. And a lot of the placements in Chiron that I talk about, for example, if you have a natal placement of Chiron in Aries, or my Chiron placement in Cancer, it's we forget ourselves. We cheer for the underdog and can help everyone else and know where they can help themselves, but it's ourself we forget to use that wisdom and incorporate and take action into that. So I just wanted to start right off the bat with this little introduction, but this is the first bonus episode, and without further ado, here we go. There is a full moon in the zodiac sign of Aries on Sunday, October 9th, 2022, which is today, as I'm recording this. It was in full bloom at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1:55 p.m. Pacific Time for some of us. For others, depending on where in the world you reside, the early hours of tomorrow, Monday, October 10th, 2022, the full moon will be at its peak. So, the recording platform that I create and organize and distribute my series has new features, and one of the new features is bonus episodes. So I feel that the bonus episode feature is a place where I can create and record and hold space to really deep dive and share all things occult, more prevalent with astrology, because some of my friends and some of you listeners have reached out and are getting really invested, like I started to do when my journey really took in full effect. And I love it. I've been holding myself back during the Pisces full moon, which was the last full moon about a month ago. I was going to start the bonus episodes, but I just held back because I'm not an astrologer, philosopher, licensed in anything. I, however, love to learn now again, and I feel all this stuff that is informative that I share is from my own intuition, and it's my own truth, and it resonates with me. However, some of you might grasp and hold on to some of the information presented. So I feel like this bonus episode thing is a great way to organize everything. I was going to do a second podcast, I remember stating in an earlier episode, but that's just too much, especially when I'm trying to build consistency and build my rituals as I grow and expand. So, all the information, the more informative episodes are really what spoke to me and still speaks to me as I'm continuing to grow and my own soul. So, in the astro realm, astrology is a science, and it's also an art. It's considered a pseudoscience if you're into labels. However, it really helps make me use the current energy to my advantage. You might hear that it's a weather map, a road map, and I just further instill an ever expanding self-awareness, and I just love it. So this bonus episode, however, is not so much about the current full moon that's currently going on right now in Aries. It has more to do with the minor planet that is currently sitting next to this full moon in Aries, known as Chiron. Chiron in mythology is known as the wounded healer. And over the past 2 years, diving really into my natal chart, into different branches in Western, Eastern astrology, Chiron really speaks to me and interests me as I've been learning about the minor planet itself and the wounded healer mythology. And over the past month, there has been a song that I literally vibe to, sing to as I'm, working, Instacarting, driving. I really love music, and I'm incorporating playlists into each episode, starting with episode 11 that will be released in a few days. So I'm kind of incorporating all the stuff I've been doing my whole life. You know, organization of playlists, like literally so organized when I was in like 8th grade, 7th grade. Like, it just baffles me. And I still continue to do it today. My music has to be organized for me. And Apple Music and Spotify and everything makes it really, you know, hands-on and organized, and it's just growing. So, but over the past month, the song Running Wild, in parentheses, Tumblr Girls 2 by G-Eazy and Kosako, forgive me for pronunciation, that's how I feel like it is, I don't know for sure. You know, I was listening to it today again, and I didn't hold back. I connected all these different pieces of the never-ending puzzle within an hour in my mind. It was like lightning in a bottle. And I took action and started this little bonus episodes, which a few hours ago I had no idea or drive to even... it wasn't created, honestly, for me. But intuition led me here. And I took the action and was intuitively guided to finally start a bonus episode of more of an astrological base in the current astrological real time, if you will, for the collective and how it can pertain to yourself, dealing with Chiron, the minor planet Chiron. And you definitely need your natal birth chart to figure out where Chiron is in your chart on the day you were born. I know my Chiron is in Cancer, and Cancer in whole sign astrology, which is very good if you're starting off. It's like one of the oldest forms of Western astrology, and it's very organized. There's no overlap in a sense. However, the overlap plays such as in Placidus branch of astrology. It all depends on you and how you connect to your intuition and what is truth for you. Like, for me, it's like the hives, the chills. Like, on episode 5, I talk about how I really started connecting with my intuition. And as my awareness builds, I'm noticing I overthink and second guess myself more than I ever did, which is kind of interesting. But it all has to do with healing, the wounded healer. And the energy of this full moon it's in a fire sign, fiery Aries. It's very energetic, especially for some. And for me, in my natal chart, my 6th house, and the 6th house for everyone, there's 12 houses in a birth chart, is almost like your toolbox of the, you know, your whole chart. And it has to do a lot with health and also your job in the material world. And for me, like I said, I've been struggling financially. Nothing fulfills me. Like, I can't even Instacart like consistently because it just doesn't fulfill me. And I don't know. I feel like I'm going above and beyond into really looking within, and I feel like I'm overdoing it instead of trying to integrate and balance being a human. You know, I'm just so fixed on learning about my soul, and that desire is ever growing, so I have to find the balance. And the sun is currently in Libra right now, which is all about balance and justice. And it's actually the ruler of my 12th house in my own chart, which is of the unconscious for everyone. So a lot of my dreams are where in my subconscious, where a lot of the answers and the help for what I'm going through right now will come into play. But everything's so disorganized. As much as my dreams have been, it's like I don't even get any sleep because, you know, my dreams are so vivid. It's not like how we are right now in quote unquote reality, like how conscious we are, it's still a little bit foggy in my dreams, but it's very vivid to the point where like sometimes I wake up like, like, you know what I mean? Like I got hit by a train or whatever happened in the dream, and it's all very weird. But I'm learning how to, you know, kind of sift through my dreams and put pieces of the puzzle together to be even more lost in life. And that's the name of the game. So Chiron is very all about healing, and, you know, it's gonna bring what's, if you become aware of it and kind of get in the energy, especially when you bring awareness of astrology into your life, it's amazing. However, how to navigate it is a unique way to yourself. But the information is out there. There's so many great books, so many great websites. You can find a birth chart for free on most sites. I really recommend Cafe Astrology or ChawneYnicholas.com. You can do the whole sign chart, and it's amazing. However, Chiron is a minor planet, and each placement, depending on what sign it falls in your chart, has to do with your wound in this life. So my wound is in Cancer, which it's the mother wound that I'm learning, and I'm going to talk briefly about it. I'm not going to get really in depth. I'm just really going to focus on the collective and how you can use this energy to bring something that you need to heal into your conscious mind. And, you know, I'm recording this a few hours ago. I'm on the East Coast, so the moon was, you know, the week starting off at peak, you know, just a few hours ago. The moon was full in Aries, and, you know, I scrounged to put this together real fast. I'm really excited about it, only because, you know, I was listening to actual astrologers over, you know, the past few hours, and it just was like, what is truth to me through this, you know, from what I'm learning, and how can I share it through my own experience? Because a lot of the reason why I like put off podcast episodes is because I want to be original in a sense that I don't want to put anything out until I go through an experience with whatever I'm talking about. And I don't want to just repeat what someone else says, you know, but I am learning from others. We're all parts of the whole, and I need to, you know, really become aware of that and let go of that fear. And my next full episode, which is basically put together, I just had to finish recording it, I'm going to put it out in a few days, is about, you know, I'm coming back in that spiral of letting go and my experience with that currently. And, you know, in episodes 3 and 4, I start talking about letting go and what it's been like for me over this past year. And, you know, I'm going to keep coming back to those big topics that are about healing your human self, as well as, you know, further expanding your soul into your true essence. So this episode, bonus episode, it's not going to be too long. I'm just going to kind of briefly talk about Chiron and mythology, the wounded healer, and also talk about how it's going to kind of, how you can like play with the energy to help you become more aware of what needs to be healed in your own life. And I feel like when I come back, you know, when I go within, I get mad at myself because I can't leave myself alone, honestly. And it's like a little play off Drake's lyric that I'm obsessed with, and I don't know why. as you can see, I love lyrics. Like, I'm more of the lyrics guy. I really feel songs, and I actually write free verse poetry on this Poetizer app where it's all organized and helps with copyright. But words speak to me, and I'm finally using my voice on a platform to raise the vibration to help others. Someone else can take some piece of, I learn from other podcasters, and however, in the age of comparison, growing up with social media, it's very hard to kind of just learn from it, but don't judge how you're going, which I have a very harsh inner critic. I feel like if it's not taking off right away, then there's no point of doing it type of thing, because commitment is new to me. Consistency is a flaw for me, and I'm learning how to heal that part of myself as well. And I feel like a lot of the healing that's going to be brought into my awareness in real time with this full moon is going to be about stuff in the work realm and how it's affecting my actual overall health, because health is wealth. My mental health, my physical health. I'm in a process of transformation. And on a side note, Pluto is out of retrograde in Capricorn, and it's been there since 2008. So as a collective, it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. But it is slow moving. And I know a lot of people that are very brilliant that don't think Pluto's a planet, and I understand that. But for me, it's in my first house of self, so it's transforming how I appear to other people in my actions and internally as well as externally. So it's just very huge. This year has been probably the worst year of my life mentally. However, it is necessary and vital to my own soul growth and how I can contribute to humanity. And fulfillment is huge for me as well. As well as being human, being present, which if I put all my time into going within and doing the spiritual work, doing the growth, isolating myself, because it's very tiring and it's a lot. It takes away from being present and being human and going out in the world and just take action. I can't just wait until I'm fully healed. It's just an ongoing process. You come back to the stuff that you thought you healed yourself from. However, it doesn't hurt you as much. You get a deeper understanding of what needed to be healed, so on and so forth. And that's what I'm learning over the past 2 years or so going on this journey. So let's talk about what in mythology the wounded healer Chiron, the little backstory is. I'm gonna chime in real quick, a little off topic. So the first 18 minutes I recorded of this episode and saved it, and I had to go into Target, right? Because as I'm putting this episode together, I was on a Target run. Got some items and stuff, and little do you know, after saying in those 18 minutes about how Chiron is about healing and bringing what needs further healing into light, into your conscious awareness, the games already began in Target, because I re-listened to those 18 minutes and I was like, well, I said once. I said something along the lines of the current, and just very redundant. And also, are you seeing how my inner critic is huge and how I just want to perfect the fuck out of what I just said and splice that whole 18 minutes, because It wasn't perfect because I'm presenting it to a platform that anyone can listen to it at any time today, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to leave it because I love it. How I would, criticize or sum up just like the beginning of this episode is, a chill vibe with some undertone of snark, and can be easily influenced by, the stuff that I love. However, I, refute that, and that definitely comes from my ego, because when I look at it, in one way or another, looking back, it helps me to heal, art and all the stuff that I love. I don't know where my creativity is gonna take form and manifest into this, reality, but I'm building upon it. But I just wanted to be a little bit off topic and just show you in real time how, and I don't know if this is just like something that, pulsates my mind, but every time that I talk about a topic or put out an episode, it's like I go right into that. You know what I mean? It's like this, how like in bingo, where, have you ever been to a bingo hall where, he it's that big circle thing with all the balls going in, and like the one number comes out, B7, and people take their dabbers or their chips and mark it, and then throws it back into the vortex, right? I talked about letting go. I talked about fear so far. I talked about my awakening journey. I have talked about, what else have I talked about? Duality, polarity. That was kind of tied in the episode right before fear. I talked about who you are, like knowing who you are, and how I'm still on the journey of figuring that out. And my next episode is going to be about letting go again. It's just like it all, once I speak it and voice it and put it out there, it ties in with the other topic, and it's constant like working on, and it's, going through the spiral of life. But when you come back to it, fingers crossed, because I am more new to this journey, and from a logical perspective, like I try like highlighting words in the little bio that we put in the show notes about what each episode's about. And the words that I'm highlighting are the words in the vocabulary that are about growth / healing / existential crisis / spirituality. How it's in everything. I tell everyone everything, because I consume a lot of content in the arts. For me, binge watching is productive for me, because, like I said, I connect with my intuition through those things because I love it so much. In the fantasy worlds that, movies and shows and books and can put you in. And honestly, stepping into the unknown it's a fantasy in a sense, because I don't know, So a little rant there, but let's talk about Chiron officially now. In mythology, Chiron was the son of Cronus in Roman terms, and that's relatable to Saturn, the father. And the mother was a sea nymph. However, he was abandoned and taken in by Apollo, or the sun. He also had a half-brother known as Zeus, or the planet Jupiter, and he was immortal. He was considered the wisest of all the centaurs, which in astronomy, it's the archetype of the astrological sign of Sagittarius. Centaurs in mythology were wild animals and viewed as uncivilized. They were untethered to their own rage, and their animal instincts and urges could not be controlled, contained, and they were just running wild. As most of us humans view Sagittarius signs, I myself am a Sagittarius sun sign, and I've been running wild and carefree, and I just need to move how I want to move in my freedom, and those ideals have been with me my whole life, and those feelings are and always have been present. But he was different than all the other centaurs, because Apollo, or the sun, had a major influence on his upbringing. He was wise beyond his years, and his wisdom and teaching was profound. He was very into medicine, astrology, music, and archery. Those were his, passions and what he excelled in. And through his wisdom, he taught Hercules and Achilles. Those were some of his students. And he mainly taught medicine, and all in all was a healer. However, he did have the duality, or the darker side of a centaur or Sagittarius, which is being wild, carefree, like I stated before, and uninhibited. Now, the story goes in mythology, he was known as immortal, right? And he is also known in astrology in your natal chart, as well as in mythology, the wounded healer. And it's ironic because he can never be healed. And there's different versions of what actually happened in this. But if you open up your mind and are into fantasy, and it could be, this is why I'm so drawn to this particular transit. It's not the most profound, but the more I am aware of my own internal wounds in this life, which your Chiron natal placement is the wound that you carry throughout your life. And for me, I feel like a lot of my actual, not labels, but just stuff I'm unearthing through astrology is very synonymous to this Chiron / Centaur, which I am a Sagittarius sun, and I'm actually pretty good in the things that he also embodied. And even archery, I remember in Boy Scouts, I was actually really good at it. And it's interesting. And I think back then I didn't even know I was Sagittarius at that point, but now I'm not into medicine, but I was in nursing school. I never finished. I think the whole clinical aspect was more of something was off, and that was a few years ago, and I wasn't really into energy work or any of this. So I feel like I used to look at it as a failure and can't put my finger on it at that time, but now I'm learning it just wasn't my path. As much as the sciences have always interested me, but I knew from a child, my inner child and own child self, that it's more in the arts and entertainment in this life, and my passions, grow and expand. So it hits close to home. And this transit with this full moon, it's in conjunction. So it's added energy from the full moon in a fire sign of Aries, with Chiron also being in Aries the past few years. And when you look up your natal chart, you will get a better understanding of the comet Chiron and where it falls in your chart. Part of the personality that it opens your mind up to in yourself lies in the house that it's placed in, as well as the sign that rules that house. So, for example, in my natal chart, Chiron, the exact moment I was born, is in my 9th house, and my 9th house is ruled by the water sign of Cancer. So there's two parts of the wound that can be displayed of your personality. And it's very interesting because, you might be skeptical, and honestly, I just constantly question myself, always looking within, and like I said before, always going back and forth, cross-referencing, because that's my analytical mind, which is a gift that I came into this life with from my South Node in Virgo. And if I'm getting ahead of you in the astrology, I apologize. I know it's like not, this podcast isn't just astrology. This is just, I was drawn to create this episode, I think, because I'm so interested in this wounding, because the past few days before this full moon and so on, I'm sure, just like that incident in Target I just talked about, I just feel like I keep coming back to get a deeper understanding. So if the story of Chiron, so he, like I said, there's different versions, but all in all, he was immortal, and Hercules coated his arrows with a poison, and some stories say that he could have dropped the arrow himself, Chiron, on his foot, but that's an accident, something I feel like I would do, honestly. But also, Hercules shot him by accident with a poison arrow. So he had this wound that was excruciating pain that he didn't want it to be immortal anymore. And after the 9th day, which is interesting because the 9th sign, so there's 12 zodiac signs, and in an astrological year, the first zodiac sign would be Aries, the end of March, because there's overlap with the signs, the end of March into April, and the 9th sign would be Sagittarius. And my soul urge number in numerology, if you are into that type of learning, there's so many different modalities and things, like I've said before, but my soul urge number is 9 as well, and that's synonymous with my sun sign of Sagittarius. So that's like how, I'm putting the lightning striking in my head. I'm like putting things together for my own journey, but this is just an example. But being aware of, okay, I have this feeling, and you'll just be aware, like, I've had these feelings before, you just couldn't put your finger on what it was, and it just, a spiral of opening up your mind to more understanding and awareness. So I haven't lived this life fully. Obviously, you haven't either if you're listening to this. However, the wound might not be healed literally in your psychological makeup. However, more wisdom and understanding surrounding whatever wound it is for you personally, I believe will be shown on this journey. So he made a deal with his half-brother Zeus that he will give up his immortality to be mortal, so he doesn't have to suffer anymore, in exchange for Prometheus, who had eternal suffering placed upon him, something about his liver being attacked by like vultures or crows, and then it would grow back, and then constantly being attacked. And that will set him free. So he's known as the wounded healer. His wound couldn't heal. He's immortal. He makes the bargain, sets Prometheus free, and sets himself free. And Prometheus, which there's also a movie, Prometheus, is really good. I love it. It's like sci-fi. I just watched that last year. My dad likes those type of movies too, so he like actually showed me it. So that's a little side note there, but Prometheus gave fire, the element fire, to man. And he stole this fire from the gods. And fire is the sign Aries right now in the full moon that's currently taking place. And when I was in Target, I went to the book section, and they have like a little astrology section, and there was this like cool book that I saw, and the page I turned up in was about the element fire and its trickster energy, because it's not like the other elements, air, water, and earth, which is here on Earth. So I was like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? Just before I started recording again. So he gives up his own immortality. And once he became mortal, he died. And he was given a place among the stars or the gods, and, represents the constellation Sagittarius. And today, the name Chiron is a boy's name, which means hand. And in the movie Moonlight, which I've started watching a year or two ago, I just never really got into finishing it, and I'm definitely going to watch it after this episode just to get, further insight. But the name of the boy in the movie, the main character, is Chiron, and most of his pain came from being gay. And I feel like for me, that's been a lot of my pain too. However, there's deeper meaning and understanding of my own wounds. But it's relatable too, and why I'm so drawn to this. And I usually record my episodes in the moonlight like I am right now. So it's just, everything's synchronized there. But it's just wild. And the mythology and astrology, it's a minor planet, or considered a comet in astrology, astronomy, in our wow, I can't even think. I was going to say the Milky Way. Our galaxy, it's it's just everything's so vast. I mean, as we keep living, I feel like most of us are understanding, or what if, like, it could be anything. Like, there's so many different theories out there, and it makes it fun, even though everything just feels so dense here on Earth. But the past few days, I've been recording and putting together an episode that was going to be next, the 10th episode. However, this one just came out of nowhere, like I said before. And it was about, and like I stated, it's about letting go, you know, the spiral of my current experience with that. And I'm starting to put playlists of music that inspired, or I kind of like listen to before I start recording. You know, music is very therapeutic, healing for me, and it's in the show notes. I know I'm restating this, but the songs that are with the playlist for this episode, I've been listening to some of them for years. One of them on there has been my favorite song since, I don't know, I was in 3rd grade. I don't know the exact year. And it's funny because a lot of the lyrics for me kind of told me like what basically is going to happen to me, like in this life, up until, you know, I became aware of what's actually going on for me, and, you know, growing my self-awareness. But the movie City of Angels, which I feel like I've brought this up to people in my life, and they like kind of like, the movie's like, first of all, I bawled when I fully watched it, the end of 2020. It's a Meg Ryan movie, and honestly, does anyone know where Meg Ryan is? Like, I like her a lot, actually. Like, she did like a lot of movies in the 90s, but she's a doctor, and it's funny because, right, Chiron does mean surgeon with the hands, but Nicolas Cage is her co-star, and he's an angel, right? Immortal. And I'm not going to go into full depth of the movie, but it's definitely good if you are interested. But the song that is the main, you know, song in the movie is called Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, and the writer and the lead singer for the band was approached, and this song was for that movie. He literally locked himself in a hotel room and wrote the song, and it's so deep, and it literally, if you listen to the lyrics, and I should do bonus episodes on each song and why it's intertwined with each episode. However, these are the questions that I asked when I'm watching creative work. Like, why did the creator want this song for the ending of this episode? Like, how's that tie in? And sometimes it's just open to interpretation, but that song is just it's deep for me, and it's also relatable to Chiron. It's relatable to my own life, because we all have our wounds, and we all have our trauma, and it's just going through it and then coming back to it and going, you know what I mean? And just gaining more insight to peel back the layers. And whether you listen to this episode a few weeks later, or maybe you can look back and kind of get to know through, and this is like, astrology really helped me. Therapy can really help you. It just depends on what you're drawn to. However, a lot of my generation now is just interested. It's gaining traction in a sense of, hey, maybe it's a trend. Hey, it's this. But it really invests, and you just invest in yourself and actually like take responsibility for helping yourself, as much as it is a struggle. Like I've said, I'm still struggling on this road, but I feel like wounding and just a little explanation of Chiron and how it's related to my life is a good topic just to put out there, put the vibration out there, because, you know, there's transits each year, current transits. Right now it's in Aries, and Aries is in my 6th house of work. Everyone's 6th house is of work and health, and so that's where it's at. That's where it's affecting, my 6th house. However, my natal wound is in my 9th house. So it's a lot of research and desire to learn about it, and your interest has to lie in the astrology. However, it can get overwhelming. I still overwhelm myself. And I took some time away from it because I'm still seeking. I'm still seeing what I like and where I want to invest my time into, but I keep coming back to astrology. So it's just really cool to put an episode out there that's astrology based. But Chiron's very important in the chart, I feel. Because even if this is all bullshit, I'm still working on my trust. Sorry. It's doing something positive for my own self. It's, hey, I'm taking a look at this. And I'm, the wounding and what's becoming in my conscious awareness when there are high energetic Chiron conjunctions or, any type of transit. It's squeezing out all those narratives that are false, are centered around wounding, and today I'm staying in the waterfront, like near the National Stadium or whatever in DC, staying at my friend's. She's going to London from Tuesday to Tuesday. And she's like, hey, if you want to just chill, because I've been staying at our other really good friends in Alexandria for a while. And I feel like I was just overstaying. Like, I don't know. And I always put myself beneath, and I don't know how to read other people's energy. And I feel like I'm staying, and I'm not that type of person. And I've talked about this before, but it's very interesting how this is actually tied into my actual natal Chiron in some regards, and how it manifests in my personality. And I'll get into that a little bit next, just to give you an example, and then you can look up for further information based on your birth chart. And maybe some of you, we have the same Chiron placements, 9th house Cancer, and but like I said, the City of Angels, I know I'm digressing and getting off topic. Nicolas Cage trades in his own immortality to become a human because he loves Meg Ryan, who's a surgeon, so much. And spoiler alert for the ending, like the song Iris, right? She's like on a bicycle and she gets hit by a trucker. So she dies. So, right? That's tragic. And I just feel like it's more based on desire. However, there's correlation, And the song Iris is one of the theme songs of my life too. Also the song Running Wild, it's like a newer version by G-Eazy and Kosako. Huge inspiration for this. I've been listening to that song for about 2 months. I know it came out like, I don't know, not maybe a year ago. I don't know. It's not like last week, you know what I mean? And it's all about, they're talking about in the song how he's talking about girls and the one girl and how she's just always running wild and carefree. And he keeps saying in the chorus, and I guess right before the chorus, I don't know the exact structure of a song, but however, your soul, he keeps saying, your soul's running wild, go free it. And it's interesting because that song, having that, the dark side, or, not so much negative, but it would be viewed by the human mind as negative vibration of the Sagittarius is, even the Centaurs is very uninhibited and wild and carefree. And that's just like free spirited. And a lot of my life, I've been that way. Just, a wanderer, wanderlust. And I feel like when I'm trying to be consistent and discipline myself, it's going against like more of the darker aspects of my own self. And finding that balance is a struggle currently. And all that ties in, under Chiron. So it's very fucking cool to see as I'm explaining it. I know I'm a little bit all over the place with this, but I kind of wanted to just go off script and, state what has resonated with me about what I've learned from Chiron. Now, we are in the sun sign of Libra, so I want to balance self to the collective level of the current transit. So that includes a lot of different things that I've learned listening to actual astrologers, because I'm not an astrologer. But what someone says, you shouldn't take every single thing as truth. It's just truth to them. And as I go on this journey, at first I was like believing everything, this, and that. That's why I like the experience aspect before I like put out an episode, because, okay, I had this experience. This is truth. And I can use it as kind of wisdom. Maybe it is wisdom, but I keep coming back to it when I put it out there. So, let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about what does it mean? Say if your natal chart, you're born right now, the kid's born. What does it mean to have the wound in Aries, right? Because the moon is in full, is in Aries, and Chiron has been in Aries currently, real time. So a song comes to mind, obviously, but it's not in the playlist associated with this. However, hate it or love it, the underdog's on top. Right? Who sings that? Do you remember? But say if you just had a child, right? Yesterday or this year. And if you had their birth chart, their Chiron would be natally in Aries. So what is it for someone that has a placement of Chiron in Aries? What does that transit like now? But what I've learned and pulled intuitively to feel is necessary to share is that Chiron in Aries is champion for and of the underdog. They're always there to remind others of how special and important they are. And they have a real knack for expressing and picking out the strengths of others. However, there's a caveat to this, right? They have trouble absorbing that particular lesson for themselves. and many years tell themselves, hey, you count, and sometimes you need to prioritize yourself to feel whole. We all should be working on that. I should be working on that as well, even though I don't have Chiron and Aries per se in my natal chart. But logically, right? Hey, I got awareness to this. You know it in your head. But when you're out in the real world, it's hard to practice and put awareness on these things because there's so much stimuli. And so, geez, I literally just... Some days I'm like, is my head gonna explode? Like, just, and then I chuckle and I'm like, maybe. But, but with wounding, you know, it's gonna be our whole lives. If you compare it to the mythology of Chiron himself, you know, but gaining awareness, and every time you come back to these wounds, they provide insight, which you can apply wisdom to, you know, for the next time around. So remember that hope and that light instilled. Now, how it manifests and portrays in the personality based on the house that it falls in the natal chart, I'm going to use mine, for example. So my Chiron is in the 9th house. And for me, what I pulled, you know, that I looked at it, right, logically, and I'm like, hey, yeah, that I remember experiences from that. And for me, it says, you are warmed and concerned for others, and you express this kindness quite easily and readily, but I don't always apply it to myself. And I'm like, yes, definitely. And this, you know, same as Aries. You're a champion for the underdog or the ordinary, encouraging others to enjoy themselves instead of performing or seeking out outer world success. But for me, right, I put so much perfectionism and feel like I'm not enough. But it's so easily for me to do for everyone else, but not myself. And I get mad at myself, and I'm like, what the F? Like, what is going on? Like, why is this such an ordeal? But, you know, I put all that guilt onto myself, and that is what makes it difficult to apply and own my own advice and beliefs for my own self, because I'm constantly excavating and questioning and overthinking all the time. And where it's interesting is, right, I've been staying with two friends who have been my friends since, you know, my friend I'm staying with now has been my friend since I was 13, and my other friend since, like, you know, 9th, 10th grade. And I may have trouble feeling truly comfortable and at home in places that are not my home. And that's why financial security is so important to me, because I need my own place, my own space to do what I want to do and, you know, instill my energy. Because when I'm alone, I'm in my energy. Sometimes as I'm working on certain things that are more in the darker aspects, it might change, but that's okay because that's my space. And I was talking about this earlier with my friend, and it, you know, it falls along the lines of that. So, you know, I'm speaking it into existence. I'm like, look at it from a logical perspective. Hey, this could be a thing. I haven't experienced it yet. Some of it I have an experience for. I remember playing football. I wasn't any good, by the way, at all. But, you know, I tried things, right? I might have failed from an outside perspective or my own perspective, my not self perspective. But I tried things, and we weren't really good when I was in 10th grade. The senior, I guess varsity would be the actual term. We were definitely, I think we won our last game. That's the only game we won. But if we would have won, I would have empathized more with the losing team or the team not so well. And even when I didn't play senior year, but I played like 9th, 10th. And so then I was like, no, this isn't for me. I always felt more connected to the losing team, and I never knew why. And I still don't know why, honestly, but I always am rooting for the underdog for a success story. I just need to embody that in myself first and foremost. And I can do it for everyone else and, give my friends like little bits of pieces, but I need to learn not to. And it was actually part of my horoscope yesterday. I need to not, and it's so true now that I'm speaking out on the topic. I need to not, throw my bits of what I'm learning and wisdom for my own journey out to people that are just unavailable just because I'm really excited about it. And this podcast is good for organizing that, right? I'm doing it, like I said, as a voice journal, but also to reach a larger audience, to, help them on their own journey, because all this stuff is what interests me and I have passion in it. I finally found something to expand and build upon. And it, all in all, because I still look at all aspects, I'm still human, but I'm in the actual process, right? I'm not a success story who lived and did all these, went through all the trials and tribulations, and then a couple years later puts out, that's like something different that I wanted to do. I wanted to be on the journey as I'm going through it, to help just being vulnerable so I can instill that vulnerability in my actual relationships with people that I know, because I'm still working on that, right? I can hide behind this recording, but in my actual relationships in life, it's constant struggle. And it kind of ties into for a psychological aspect, because the one friend that I stayed with is in grad school for psychology type. She kind of observed how, my attachment style, and I always thought I was an avoidant attachment, but she thinks more of a disorganized attachment, which embodies two different other types of attachments. I don't know all about that. I'm not a psychologist, but I started looking up information and stuff about it, so I might put it in another episode at some point when I feel like I've experienced enough to talk about it. But it kind of ties into that too. And it all stems from childhood. And when this first started happening, and in other episodes, I definitely, transition into that victim mindset, which is not self. However, when it keeps coming back around, your understanding, deepens, and it doesn't hurt. That wound doesn't hurt as much. No one's to blame, because, and I said this before, and in my actual regular life, and I feel like on the last episode, maybe, all the shit that happens, all the bad stuff is your success story. And the more and more I dive deep into this journey, the more and more it feels real to me in my own self, because I'm building that confidence. I'm instilling the stuff and beliefs that I love to share with others, but into my own heart and self. However, I'm still seeking instant gratification, like how we're living. My generation grew up, and I'm like, well, why is this taking forever? So it's building all this, the little bullet points, if you will, under the term love as the main only thing, right? I'm instilling patience. I'm instilling trust. And I even said to my friend I'm staying with right now, this is the first relationship I've ever been in. myself or my higher self or God create. This is the first relationship. However, this relationship, I know if you were to look at it as not boyfriend, girl, I guess boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, they and they, like, you know, just another actual relationship. I'm not talking about 7th grade I'm talking about an actual relationship. Like everyone has their lists of first loves, where my partner is unconditional. So the focal point is what in this relationship, what is being unearthed, right? What is being shown to me? Because I know I'm not the problem, but how our human minds look at it is, okay, you know, how can I take the unconditional love from my quote unquote partner, and instill that into me? You know what I mean? Because I feel like, and I don't know why I always give relationship advice. I've never been in a relationship, unless in another realm or life before this, not on Earth, but I just know these things for my own self, and it just works for whoever I just gave relationship advice to. But I've observed my whole life though too, so I feel like that being a little wallflower there, you just pick up on it, you know, just observing relationships and the content that I, you know, feed myself. But it's just interesting because I listen to music differently. You know, when the song is clearly about, for example, a lot of the inspiration came, and especially it's a part of the lyrics in a song that I really love. He's talking about a relationship with a girl, and I look at it as a deeper meaning, as I apply like the feelings that he has to a higher power. Or it could be different. It depends on the song, but like the song Wait For You, it's very popular this year. It's probably my favorite song of the year. Still, by Future, Drake, and Thames. You know, Thames has the vocals where she says, "I'll wait for you." I don't want to sing because I get nervous about singing. Even though sometimes I feel like some songs that I sing to myself, I was like, I really sound like the artist, but maybe that's just, I don't know, a pipe dream, but maybe not. I'm learning here. It's like unconditional love. If you think about it, if you listen to, it's basically these musicians are, and that's why I'm so drawn to music since birth, literally, because it's so healing, because it's at a higher vibration, and it's easily accessible. I compare and contrast. I used to write on CDs, playlists, all organized, like I said before. Now it's all organized by the internet, easily accessible for me to do it personally, but I'm sure there's others out there. But I started doing that myself before Apple Music or anything was even a thing. Like I used to download off LimeWire, like, and it was so unorganized. It was like and it had to be perfect sound, and it just took a while for that to jump off. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just sometimes when we're in our human self, it's very hard to, you know, just embody the whole, because we are learning through self, and it's not a battle. It's basically how it's just a focal point for, in some sense. And that really still resonates with me. But taking action and being aware of that while I'm living life is the struggle. that some of you that understand what I'm talking about, maybe you don't, I don't know. You can just take it for what it is, but this is like how I've been feeling a lot. And I pick up on these energies, especially, like I said, I was creating that letting go. Next episode, which I'm putting out actually in a few days because it's almost done. But the full moon is about things coming to fruition from what you set 2 weeks prior in the new moon, or letting go and endings. And it, it really draws out those narratives and those energies that you just aren't excelling holding on to. And I have a problem of letting go. And these wounds, it's like, well, if they're always going to be here, maybe the light from that is just wisdom to further down the road express on a podcast or in a book to help the next person, the next generation, from that deeper insight. So it's just very interesting, and I keep digressing, and I'm sorry. And that word is, if you hear that word, you're on your journey. Let me tell you, I have a list of words from the logical perspective. If you first start out, would be amazing, because I looked at my journaling, which I don't do often, but from when this first started, and it was so funny how, looking back, like just in 2 years, my growth has expanded for my own self. Just the way I view things, how I react. There's good and bad with that. Changing in good ways and bad ways. And I just have to objectively, show grace towards that. And I'm saying all this, and it's hard as shit for me, like personally, but I feel like it just brings deeper understanding and thought into at least trying when I, vocalize it. So the current transit, though, affects me in my 6th house, because that's Aries rules my 6th house in my birth chart. And in your astrological birth chart, it's all about work and health. And so with that extra energy, the fire energy, right? I don't know how to explain this. Sorry, I'm like deep in thought, and I feel like this is definitely not a bonus episode, and I'm so sorry, but this is how it is. I say, hey, it'll be a short episode. No, I just love talking about a topic but I want to give the most information that really works for myself, for those that aren't really into astrology, I guess, or don't have no clue what it is. Because I talk to my friends about astrology, and they're on their own journeys and stuff. And when I start going on in passion, I stop myself and limit myself, because I feel like I'm talking too about blah, blah, blah. And I kind of take my power away when I'm in my flow. And I also need to learn how to navigate that, because I don't at all want to come off like a know-it-all, as much as it really comes from a good place of passion. And I feel like my whole life, it's like, okay, up until I got straight A. I got made fun of on the bus because I got straight A's in 7th grade. And I think then I was getting into sexuality and stuff, and trying to be recognized, which is a lot of why I'm here, from a space of ego. Because it's teen angst is coming on, and the acne is about to be shown. Shit was about to get real back then. And as much as our wounding comes from, they say birth to 7 years, high school was huge for me still, and I still can't let go of certain things. And it's been years, and I'm like, all this conditioning, is it going to take the same amount of time to decondition? So here we go again. I overthink things, and this transit right now is just squeezing all that shit that has my confidence so low. However, there's a paradox to my own existence, right? Because sometimes I'm just in my element, but then I feel like I second guess myself now, like, is this, God forbid if I take a selfie, is this ego now? Like, and I feel like I'm being punished if I do anything. So there's fear with that. But how I was raised of walking on eggshells, and my wounding comes from the mother wounding, which is in, especially with Cancer. And my mom's moon sign is actually Cancer, and my grandma, her mom, is sun sign is Cancer. So like, there's so much, right? Look at that right there, like an actual factual explanation that magic or arts of the astrology and science are on the same side of the coin. So, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people we all have wounds, right? Everyone's awareness is different, you know what I mean? So I can't speak for anyone else because, you know, I'm in this body. However, I feel like there's so many people, especially with all the craziness in the world right now, that need some burst of hope, right? And as much as days that I just hate this, I just want it to be, you know what I mean? I keep going. So trust me, like, when I say, like, this is the lowest point of my whole life in this life. Because like I said before, I don't know how to move, but I'm learning all these traits that when I do get in my first relationship with another human being, it'll be just more pure rather than from a lower negative vibration of possessiveness and all the stuff that most people in around my age group or 20s act, and how our parents acted and stuff, and the cheating and all this stuff, you know, all those negative loop patterns that create all that turmoil and destruction internally. But for me, I'm toxic to my own self. I don't take that anger or anything and display it upon the world to hurt others. It's just on myself, which is just as awful. But those people that take all their anger and stuff and put it out, and, you know, all in their subconscious from their wounding since birth, and not being able to build awareness or taking the time or leap of faith into the unknown, as much as there's so much fear and stuff based in that. And I'm still in that, you know, headspace. But this is the first time in my life, you know, where I sometimes bring light and awareness to, hey, this is happening. I don't have to react right away. I can actually think about it. So, you know, it's taking time, but I feel like for me, I'm so hard on myself. So, and I'm honest about that now too. All the stuff that I'm actually talking about my own self, I would never talk to anyone about if I even knew what I know now then. So just that right there, like, is showing me that I'm building confidence. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm my greatest project. So all these things are happening based on money, but I'm having conversations now with people that are close to me that will tell me something that I might not want to hear, but I come from it from, hey, I'm listening. You know, this person truly cares about me. Like, they're letting me stay. They're letting me, you know, set that boundary. Because I'm at this standstill where I'm like, am I avoiding the shit that I constantly get bitched at or stuff from being in that codependent relationship with my mother? And, you know, I want to be on my own as an adult and fulfilled and financially stable and all these things. Am I avoiding all the problems that have been happening? Especially, since I've been staying at home, by coming down here for over 2 months? Or am I setting a boundary to get away from that, that toxicity and that energy that isn't aligning with my own energy that I'm stepping into? And I feel like as my trust builds, I won't have to ask that question. But, you know what I mean? There's going to be episodes about trust in the near future at this point, right? And I just put one out. So, but it's showing me, like, when these transits, when Chiron, wherever aspect it is, right now it's affecting my money. And I still keep looking outside because money is a relationship. But I have to look within to find that fulfillment and that wholeness rather than the material external world. But I feel like I'm isolating myself and not going and living. I'm not being present, like I said before, and it's just like this way or that way, and then no matter what way, and then I just want to sleep. Literally, I just want to sleep. I love sleep. Honestly, I never want to work for anyone again. I keep saying this, maybe I'm just being stubborn, but on a job interview, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna be like, my qualities are sleeping. But my dreams are so vivid right now, and that's a whole nother episode. But I just wanted to get real right there for a minute. I know I'm a little bit oversharing, but hey, I feel like most of my grown-up life, if I had the tools now, how everyone's starting to express themselves, it's good to see, people that I look up to that have been in my place at one point or another, you know what I mean, before they made their own success and their own wealth. And that's what I'm striving to do right now. And patience is a virtue, and it's just taking some time, but this whole transit is just very personal to me in a sense that, I don't know, I feel like if I ever have a child, the name Chiron might be one of them. No, maybe. With a K, maybe, though. I don't know. I was thinking about that as I was doing this and listening to a playlist and stalling. Like I said before, you know what I mean? The first 2 or 3 episodes on this podcast, I literally was in Taco Bell drive-thru. I just kept going. I didn't know segments or anything, but then, I started analyzing but I'm just going with this. I don't want to, like I said before, delete it. And I am guilty of it sometimes, because sometimes I want to see what the sound is like if I'm in a bathroom and of my house or my friend's house, is there an echo, which I don't know. I was talking about that today too. It's just I think I get so wrapped up in, okay, everyone that's really successful financially and stuff, they're all starting to do podcasts now. So I'm competing against Kim K for podcasts, even though her podcast series is different than what I'm speaking about. But do you see what I mean of how that doubt sets in, that underconfidence is shining through? And I don't know if that's always been, I think I've known my confidence was shit, for a better lack of words. I just didn't want to accept that. And I think saying it now on this episode, I am an underdog, and the greatest days are yet to come. I'm saying it, I'm speaking into existence. Manifesting is different for me because I listen to some podcasters about manifesting and stuff, and also I look at it this one way and then I refute it. Some of them are so full of themselves when they talk. However, that's because maybe they're in a vibration that I'm jealous of and I want to be in. So we have that jealousy, envy, right? Where does that stem from? And all this stuff. And it's funny because some of those narratives and stuff aren't even mine. I just absorb that energy, and you might have the same, type of energy placement, which human design is amazing. It's another like topic that kind of takes, I think I said before, like astrology and chakra. It's just a combination of a lot of those pseudosciences, and it really dives deep into the energy type that you possess as a human. And if you follow that energy type and know I don't know, there's different terms about it, but like I'm a projector, which is 20% of the human population. I don't know where they get these statistics from, but I love learning about it. But it's a whole different way of living that I've been conditioned to live one way, that it's just like, it's hard to bring into my awareness, into my actual own life. But, I keep going back and like I'm saying it, talking about it right now, that I just really need to work on that as well. But I feel like it'll build too. And maybe there'll be an episode about it. However, there's not a license for a human design. Maybe there is, I don't know. But everyone needs like these licenses and these proofs of graduation and all this stuff. And I think like, yeah, some professions, right? Like surgeon, you know what I mean? But there's certain jobs that they want you to have a bachelor's degree. And I'm just like, either you're fucking good at that job or you're not. And that's just a gift that you have. Like I was talking about marketing and advertising and stuff. I guess to work for other people, you would have to go to school for. But some people just have a knack for marketing and advertising. And they just always have had that. I honestly will admit, I do have skills and qualities in that. I like that creative edge of it. But I did take a marketing class online, and I fucking used Quizlet for the whole thing, which everyone else probably did too. So it's like these degrees are like kind of like just like, okay, you need to pay to get paid, basically. And I just don't like that aspect, which also has given me, right, a negative vibration. This is coming out of nowhere. So I'm literally just channeling this to say it out loud. So I'm bringing light and consciousness to this. So I'm so sorry I'm rambling, but I need this for me, honestly, as I'm saying this. And I'm not editing this out because I just want to show you how when I start talking, I don't need to plan what I'm going to say the whole episode. It just kind of comes and goes. And I don't know. It's just showing real time, like an unscripted way. And I just need all of it, because as much as I get mad at myself for it, because it helps with letting go of some of that perfectionism for myself. And it also helps me to get my thoughts out there, even though they kind of, go off tangent or whatever. But you could just fast forward if it's just a little bit too much, or, but see, I lost my train of thought. However, like I was saying, the negative aspects that I have around surrounding money and that relationship with money, because it affects my, I guess law of attraction to money. And based on my energy type with projectors, I need to attract instead of chase. And I love the chase, especially when it comes to like sexual encounters, or I'm always chasing. And so deconditioning from that is very hard for me. Waiting for an invitation is a projector thing. It's literally way different than 70% of our population, which is go out and get them, like go out and work. I said this before about all that. I was like, I'm sorry, Kim, I'm not your energy type. And it's funny because apparently her mother is my energy type. And Chris is just running all of everything. And I'm intrigued by that. I would never work under her, but I would love to work alongside of her to learn like where it comes from. But you literally have to be a billionaire to even probably speak to her. But that's just my outside perspective of watching the show and thinking I'm a sister, honestly. And how they affect me, and I've never even met them. I think that's just wild to me. How people, their whole life is based on being obsessed with one of the Kardashians. I'm like, where's your soul in that? But is that me just judging them? Or do I spend too much time on celebrities and idolizing all these people, especially musicians? But I'm idolizing now the people that actually have helped me heal, that might not ever know who I am, but I know who they are because their art has helped me. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I get mad at myself for this too, because it's just like, when can I put myself first? And I feel like I look so down upon myself, right? It's like two people are living in there at this point. But because I'm not where I've always desired to be. And a lot of people will tell you, like, life is just about letting go one dream or one desire at a time and stuff. And what are we willing to lose? And, desire keeps us going, right? I'm going into a whole nother episode at this point about desire, which I started the actual topic for that, but who knows when it will be released. But I don't want to keep going because I'm running out of breath talking about all this. Stems though from my wounds and having Aries full moon in my 6th house with Chiron. This is the part of my psyche of finance, right? For everyone, your 6th house is finance and health. And it's affecting my health because I'm isolating my mental health for sure. And I'm not putting just a little bit of routine or consistency and like what I'm eating. And I'm a vulture, scavenger for food, with food. I like small meals multiple times throughout the day. Not even meals, just I don't know. I have a fixation on something and I just eat that a couple days in a row. It's just, but some of that from under the label, I guess, of a projector is how actually projectors should eat with their energy, which is very interesting, right? Human design is just a whole nother ball game. So logically, I'm like, okay, but am I just taking that logic and just instilled that belief right away? And that's how I'm doing it. So I need to experience it and feel it to actually give my 2 cents. All of this and oversharing, it all is necessary to speak upon for my own healing, as well as helping others to heal themselves. It's just all about helping each other, different parts working together. If one organ goes, if you look at it in a human body perspective, they all start going. You hear about it all the time. So it's kind of like an analysis of that and how I'm learning and putting that together, and putting it into action. And the mythology around Chiron, there's just a wildness to it, a trailblazer attitude, which I feel like I've always envisioned in my own self. The Sag quality, right? Doing something outside of the norm. I listen to other podcasters and I feel like I start imitating, right? Because, okay, we're almost at an hour, blah, blah, blah. I feel like some people want to keep listening sometimes if the episode's so good, but I don't know. And it's cool to look back, even my first episode in April, just how much I've just changed from that in the episode content and how I can bring my own edge to what I'm sharing in my own voice, and how it's helping me and how I've seen in today's pop culture and stuff that interests the generation that I am a part of. How can I take something and make it my own and go a different route, even if I'm the only one walking on that path. And it all ties into all sorts of astrology in my own chart, which I'm not going to get into. But right now, the focal point is in Aries and how that's affecting me. And if you look up your own natal chart, you can understand that as well. Chiron brings a humility to our own self and the archetype of the wounded healer and the wound that we carry in this life, as well as the story and mythology. And we all have our own themes, but they're woven into this full moon, especially being the fire full moon that it is. And that added energy of Chiron is really squeezing out stuff that no longer is part of our journey, right? To shift into a newer energetic vibration for ourselves. And it's just amazing to see it and experience it and out of nowhere talk about it and put some type of episode together. You know what I mean? That was not planned. It was almost like a surprise in a sense. And whenever you might listen to this episode, whether it's during this actual transit or if it's 2 years from now and you stumble upon this episode, even though I feel like you can still embody the energy, because it's just, I don't know, it has to do with a lot of faith in the unknown, right? But it's just a message for you in this moment of your journey when you listen to it. And I love that because it just really resonates with me when I've listened to other podcasters as I've been, gathering information and discerning through what is my truth. And sometimes I could see it now, like some of my beliefs have changed just in the past 2 years of what I liked at the beginning and now. So, keep coming back and getting a deeper understanding, especially with the wounds. And some of you might feel this energy and understand for your own wounds and how they affect you and how is it showing up for you right now. And maybe you're getting riled up. Maybe you have no energy and you're tired. I've had too much energy right now. But, the moon is more my leader rather than the sun, only because depending on when you're born, but that feminine energy of the creativity, because my moon sign's in my 5th house of creativity and children. My north node's there and the full moon, you know what I mean? I'm getting that creative spark and that creative energy. So the moons are like very interesting in my own life and how it shows up. And just with that conjunction with Chiron, it really is, sparking something to add to this creative project that I'm working on right now. Just trying to be consistent and passionate about this podcast. Not saying this is it, this is what I'm doing. Not saying that at all, but it's nice to see how others, creatives, are using different things to represent themselves, right? Just putting stuff together. Because a lot of my friends are on this journey too. They're in jobs, they make great money, even who I'm staying with, and they don't want to do their job anymore. It's not fulfilling. And it's like, we're like waking up to these qualities when we are ready to. Like, I can't force someone into anything. It's when they decide. You can plant the seeds, and I'm really understanding that now. At first I'm like, well, why can't I just help them? Why can't? And as a healer, you're drawn to people that need the healing and you don't know why. And getting awareness on that in real time is another feeling that I'm just like, what is happening? But even though we're wounded, the struggle is why is it for me personally, why is it so hard to heal myself? As much as I want to know exactly what to do for someone else. So it's very weird. It almost doesn't feel real to be tied to this transit and Chiron in general. So thank you if you've listened all the way through, bearing with me on my kind of tangent, but I really needed to speak and just go off unscripted because I feel like there was things that I thought of consciously and I just threw it out that I really needed to just vocalize and put thought into that will help me like heal certain things, especially during this transit, because I'm still learning and understanding my wounding at a deeper level, I guess, because you can read about it based on whoever the astrologer is and you do the birth chart, but the experience is everything to give the wisdom that you want to share. And that's where consistency, like I said, is a big flaw for me, but is kind of being at tug of war with my like actual truth, because we can share other information that we learn from others, which I have done, but it's the stuff that I've discerned from multiple people that are actually skilled in the whatever I'm talking about, I guess. Just basically astrology, honestly, but as I speak it though, I'm still teaching myself as well as others that are interested, and I'm also the student again. And Chiron really resembles that student-teacher relationship. Just being a great, wise teacher, but, I feel like teachers teach themselves new things. Just teachers today, you know what I mean? And anyone could be a teacher. You don't have to go to school for teaching, right, to be a teacher. It's just your experience and your voice on your story, like storytelling in general is key right now, right? The sign for Chiron is key. That's another thing, right? Keeper of the keys. And Alicia Keys. No, here we go again. But it's just, I don't know. Yes, there's tangents. And yes, there's a deeper meaning of why I'm going on these tangents. It's because I need to really start using this platform rather than being like this place of, I know what I'm talking about. This is what I'm going to show of how I became this great success in this. I'm really doing this for myself, and I'm just realizing that I've said it before, but like I'm really realizing that now. So it's more beneficial to not monetize from this of where I'm getting the healing. Because, hey, I'm speaking, I'm putting this all out there and trying to be most authentic and vulnerable from a place of safety in a sense, because I'm just not going to jump into something like, as much as you should be uncomfortable and jump in that unknown, it's just baby steps into it, especially for me, something that's worthwhile. And an example as I close here is just the lovers of horror movies. Like, I love horror movies, by the way. Maybe this is why I love horror movies in a weird existential way. I don't know. Just go with it. From the safety of your home, you love that horror, the blood, the guts, the murdering, you know what I mean? And it's funny because as your awareness builds and you embody your empathic qualities, and I'm starting to have this, since everything is duality, in this human experience, I feel like we throw these labels around like, well, he's a narcissist because he doesn't text me back. No, that literally, I feel like some people think that. I feel like we all have narcissistic qualities and we all have empathic qualities. It's just like light and dark. It's how, where do you turn to? Like, are you going to embody the light or the dark? And showing grace through that and owning up to, okay, hey, maybe this does, you know what I mean? We're just automatically labeling people. Like, even looking at the psychological manual, at one point they said being gay was a mental illness. But right then and there, like, just for my own, that's just another book of labels, right? Some labels are useful and some aren't, you know what I mean? So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about that, but I didn't know what category of an episode I would put that under, but I feel like it was fitting. But right, horror movies, why do I love them so much? But as I'm like, you know, going through this journey now, expanding and stuff, they kind of like hit me differently than they did before. Like, I feel like they like kind of hurt in a weird way, even though I know they're not real. It's just, I don't know. But then there's some horror right now that's very existential, spiritual, and it's actually, I feel like there's lessons in horror movies, and I don't know. Or maybe it's just a darker aspect where it's just being in that safety. Like, I was watching the Dahmer, not the Dahmer tapes right now on Netflix, but I watched the whole with Evan Peters from American Horror Story and Ryan Murphy. I love him so much in his creations because it's something that I can relate to as a gay man. They show a lot of things in his creations that is in gay culture, has been and is now, that I know for a fact a lot of my friends probably aren't even aware of. And that's a whole nother lifestyle. And I was talking about that with my friend today too. And it's just, you know, wounding around being gay. And just like that movie that I said, Moonlight, it's part of my wounding too, and my confidence. And I just feel like everything's pointing, the odds are starting to be in my own favor to help me build my confidence and shine and wait for the invitation and the recognition that is fulfilling and deserving. And I feel like as I speak to it on this platform, I really am coming from a heart space, because this, when it's unscripted, it just like kind of just comes out of nowhere, because I don't know. And you know, I am very like wide-eyed right now about saying all these things in this long ass episode, but there's humility and all that deeper understanding. And now I'm back at square one as a student, probably, because we have more work to do, obviously. But we are our greatest projects. And you definitely will see that quote or hear it. And I've said it before. So message if you have any questions. In the show notes, I have like all the socials for my personal, and I'm not really like marketing on the socials because there's a whole nother, the algorithm thing is just ridiculous. I feel like a lot of people are creators because they got an algorithm thing that happened, and now they can be, and some people just, I don't know. I feel like I'm coming from a place of judgment, and at the same point in time, I'm just questioning why I think that, I guess, in a sense, and I'm just putting it out there. Like, I guess it's based on the content you want to, you know, absorb, and it's all about absorbing these things. And what manifests in your reality is, okay, just like the wounding, right? Not even having awareness of what wounding is. Like, wounding, like, right? 2 years ago, I'm like, I would have been like, and it's just funny, like, looking back, like, life is lived backwards. Like, it's just very, I'm in like an all like talking about it. And when I'm in my, shadow work phase, I'm going to be like, fuck all this shit, like blah, blah, blah. And that's like how I am. And it's like two different, but being more aware of it and observing rather than living in that victim mindset, I feel like it's slowly getting released in a sense. So we will see. But take care. Share this with someone that you love or know that is struggling or likes to talk about out of the box, out of the ballpark type topics. Or, a lot of this stuff is part of human life and how to navigate that human life. I want to get back to living, being present, and away from just this fixation on healing and being, you know what I mean? Like, as much as spirituality has really opened my mind up even more and I've become passionate about it, I don't want to like live in the clouds. I need to be here, be present, be human. And that is a very huge struggle for me. And a lot of us really do either live in the future or the past from a psychological perspective. So, good vibes. Hang in there because the energy is just all over the place with this moon. And being aware of that energy, you could use it to your advantage or you could just ignore it. And I feel like I'm not studying the energy all the time when it comes to astrology. However, when it's big things like this, I feel like I really try to channel an awareness towards what is actually happening and just build that habit so I don't have to, keep looking things up and create anxiety. You know what I mean? It's not just because something is happening collectively does not mean it's going to affect you personally. And just because something's happened, it's vice versa too. You know what I mean? It's how you can work with that energy, and how much faith are you going to put into something that isn't it? Who even knows if it's even real? Like you know what I mean? And sometimes those thoughts will pop up. Like, is our phones creating this fucking, right? I have random thoughts sometimes and I'm just like, hey, I don't know. But it's changed my life just like looking back the past 2 years. So in a good way, it's slowly building. So, all right, that's enough. I need a glass of water. I've talked way too much, but this is a really important episode though. Really, really take a look at what has stemmed from your first breath, honestly, and show some compassion and some grace and some forgiveness for yourself first and foremost, but also the relationships that you might not even be in anymore or think you're avoiding or set a boundary with. And, at one point the love was there, but I feel like the love for yourself is most important from your heart, not just, to boost some type of ego fixation, but you are the one that's living with you. You know what I mean? So it's just, I finally can say that that is truth, especially for me. And I feel like collectively would be a combined truth, like just being different parts, and we all work differently and we're all intricate and unique. However, under all that, we all come from the same source. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for hitting the road with me today. And guess what? We didn't run out of gas. So please subscribe to this podcast series to never miss a new episode. And be sure to download, like, and comment on each episode on whatever podcast platform you listen to on. As always, share this with someone you love. And make sure to follow @HopeOnRoad on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you.